Alright, this is Wolfman, the torture porn series, issue 4. And with this cover, they have managed to get across the idea of this book. It's just about chopping up Wolfman and watching him suffer. Really, there's not much to this issue beyond that. Wolfman, he has been abducted by a bad guy who wants to learn how his healing factor works. And so this is the issue where we do a bunch of experiments pushing Wolfman's healing abilities to their limits. Between all the unpleasantness, there is an idea the book explores about Wolfman's identity. If he heals himself by growing a new body or a new brain, is it still really Wolfman? Or is it a different life form that thinks that it is Wolfman? Is Wolfman even Wolfman anymore? Or is he just a bunch of regrown parts? We have another porn element too, and that is continuity porn. This woman here, she had a single appearance before this series, and it was in a random Marvel Comics Presents story starring Doctor Strange. There is some wonderful research gone into this series. We have a cast of villains who are all mostly quite obscure Marvel characters who have some form of a healing factor. We also have a sexy Asian woman who is turned on by death and violence. She comes from Night Raven. Might be her first appearance in an American comic. She might be the most porny thing about the book. You see her have orgasms several times when she kills Wolfman. And all these random characters you have probably not heard of, except for Madman. They are cutting up and injuring Wolfman to test what happens and what he can heal from and how long it takes and stuff like that. It is an interesting thing to explore. Wolfman's healing factor is usually total bullshit. There is stuff like in Civil Wars when he survived a nuclear explosion and all that was left of him was his adamantium skeleton. That begs the same questions that they actually explore in this. Stuff like, how does he keep his memories and personality when so much of his biology is regrown by his mutation? Here are probably the most fun of these villains. We have Scavenger, who comes from an issue of Swamp Thing. And we also have the most well-known one, which is Madman. Madman was created by Marky Mark and first appeared in Captain America 307. And he has quite a few appearances. I think there was also a huge retcon after I stopped reading comics that Madman was at some point merged with Dead Pills. and Madman was the second voice in Dead Pills' head. So Madman basically got well over 100 appearances added to his character with that dumb retcon. Our main villain is called Contagious, and he is the only one who is new. I can never settle on what I think of him. He is a bit try-hard, and there is a lot of creators pet to him. This is a bad guy who could kill all life on Earth without even blinking. So I think him existing disrupts the Marvel Universe a bit too much. I think for the most part I can live with it because he doesn't really go anywhere after this series. He is an enemy for a singular story, and that makes the problems a bit less of a bother. The best character in this with the worst redesign is Mortigan Goth. You will not know who he is, but he had a mini-series in the 90s published by one of Marvel's many failed imprints. And that original mini-series is really, really good. And even though he has this bad redesign here, it is great to see this character make an actual return after nearly 20 years. And he is written very in character and incredibly faithful to that original series. I strongly recommend the original Mortigan Goth miniseries. I recommend it more than this Wolfman series. It is a great little story. I feel better recommending something like that than something like this. Although this issue did potentially coin the term ass tampon, so that is worth something. And it is the case that Mortigan Goth, he is one of the more, I can't say good because that is at odds with his character. He is one of the more humane characters here. He's not evil really. The same is true of Marvel Comics Presents Woman from the start. Those two are like the ones who are not despicable monsters or scumbags. Mortigan Goth, he strikes up a friendship of sorts with Wolfman. It is nice to see a writer approach a forgotten about character like Mortigan Goth and stay true to the basic ideas of them. There is so many times when you have writers use a character like this who has one previous appearance and they cannot be asked to even read it, so the character is just inconsistent or written badly or totally ruined. And we end this with Wolfman being infected with an agent created by Contagious that makes him allergic to adamantium. There are the names of the people involved if you want to report them to the police because you think they might be psychopaths. I always struggle to decide whether I endorse this series or not. I think we have a lot of great components, and overall it is great. There is a lot of stuff that is what I want to see in comics, but I cannot ever say that people should read this gratuitous violence porn. I do always say that there's a bit more to it than just that, but that shouldn't diminish the fact that this is gratuitous violence porn. Maybe I am being unfair and I just need to get myself some ass tampons. I'll give it 7 thumbs chopped up and shoved up the bum.